We were kind of hoping that these poetry salons might be a little respite from everything that goes on outside that door, so I hope that you find this enjoyable this evening.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Barrel Proof Lounge, Poetry Salon, Literature Salon. We have Sarah Baker providing music for us. We have Brad Cox directing the films, photos, stuff like that. I'm going to open with one poem. Anybody like baseball? Is baseball? Yeah, all right. We've got Karen Fitzgerald with us. We have Hugh Shacklett. We have Robert and Gabbert. Different styles of poetry, ways to put words together, combining with imagery. Hugh is a folk musician, been writing lyrics for many, many years, songs, has 2 or 3 CDs. I published a book of his song lyrics because I thought they were song poems. So he's going to share some of that with us tonight. Robin uses visuals, ethrastic poetry, which looking at a photo, getting involved in, or a photo or a painting or a scene, getting way into the scene and finding the poetry and how it relates, and it's a special art. She has a book, and so there's more to come. I want to start with a shorter poem. I'm going to do a little bit longer one at the end. This is, I wrote for a friend of mine, Tom Rebecki. I don't know if anybody knows Tom Rebecki. He's a Luther, builds very exquisite guitars, has a pretty good client list. We play baseball together. And I watched him out he's an outfielder. And when you're an infielder, all the action is there, right? It's all in front of you. When you're an outfielder, there's a lot of space. So this is for Tom. It's called Eyes. Eyes see all colors of the long baseball day, the deep, far blues, carpets of infield, sidelines, chalk lines, tended red dirt, sun-baked, watered, raked smooth, and roughed up with less regard. And the miles of outfields where the large player dissolves and nothing remains but his eyes, the glove, the baseball, sometime with its own eyes as it streaks into his field of sky. He moves through the ball on the run. Wherever it goes, so goes the outfielder. The ball is the rabbit or fox, the outfielder, the hound. When his eyes follow it into his glove, his body materializes into light. Next, I'd like to invite Shawna Swetech to come up and read a couple poems for us.
Yeah. So, nice to see everybody. My name is Shawna. I've been writing poetry for several decades. My first collection's coming out into the summer. I'm a retired nurse, and those poems are about my nursing career. Very intense kind of things, but tonight I'm going to read some different kind of poems. The first one has a lot of nature in it, and then the second one is a little political. Supernal. pearly, everlasting, red clover, sepals green and fisted over bud, a calyx of whatever will be, of blue borage and catmint, a bee-full field. My hands are field mice burrowing in pants pockets, and your face is setting like a moonchild at sunrise. Willow and oak, a panoply of leafed green and chlorophyll under which we are sundered, surrendering our mute tongues of astonishment. In a far distant somewhere, bindweed, stinging nettle, thistle spiked in purple. This is how we brandish small wars, protect ourselves from devourment. Plantain, shepherd's purse, yellow dock. What else is there but what nature holds in molecules and glycosides? Yes, yes, it's all right here, absorbing into ears, eyes, and the melanin of our silken skin. On the 23rd anniversary of 9/11, so many air assaults, Pearl Harbor, Hiroshima, Afghanistan, planes into towers, blitzkriegs, drones, A-bombs, bunker busters, Moabs, war after war after war, destruction falling through every broken sky. But last night, an ordinance of thunderclap, lightning, of flint sparking fires in summer dry tinder, firefighters forced to vanquish what the sparse rain could not. Then morning's blue sky and open window breeze, carrying a dense perfume I'd nearly forgotten after months of California heat. Petrichor of moss and oak forest, Earth's bouquet, and I'm sorry for bombarding you, note from the storm. But where is a petrichor from violence and war? Where is the gift, the waited for wisdom, the redolent declarations of peace and reconciliation? Some say it's too late. We're too greedy, too murderous, too malevolent to do what it takes. The sixth mass extinction is in full swing, and humanity is going the way of the passenger pigeon. Blind, they say, and we can't see the forest for the last dying tree. But I do not concur. I do not concur. We can do the right thing, the just thing, the moral, kind, and humane thing. We can build weapons of love and care to finally beat bombs into plowshares on this brilliant, abundant, blue and green Eden. I know we can start over. I know we can make it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Shawna. Okay. Our next guest is Karen Fitzgerald. Karen came. I want to read a brief bio. Genre fluid writer, stories, poetry, essays can be found online at The Aphrastic Review, Dorothy Parker's Ashes, The Autoethnographer, among other e-zines. Her work has populated a number of print anthologies, including Peregrine Journal, Written Tales and Vision and Verse, to name a few. A San Francisco native, North Beach poet, writing since she was 10 years old. Always knew then she wanted to be a writer. Well,
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you. And thank you all for coming tonight. I'm so happy to see you all. Okay. I think so. I don't know. Am I burning your eardrums out there? Okay. I would like to start by with a poem that's known as a pantoum. If there's any non-poets out there who don't know what a pantoum is, Well, it's a poem that comes out in 4-line stanzas, and it has a very particular craft to it. And I learned this from Marlene McCullen, which many of you probably know that name. And if you don't, she's a huge advocate for writers in Sonoma County. Wonderful woman. And she held a workshop. And Susan Bono taught us how to write a pen tune. And she told us now the second and third line of the first verse goes on the first and the third line of the second verse, where the third and the fourth line go on the fourth, and on and on. I can tell you right away, this is not for me. I mean, this is like a rubric cube or something in poetry. But if you do it really well, you'll hear the poet roll it out in stanzas that rhyme, and maybe, and the first line of the first stanza will be the last line of the last stanza. And wait a minute, there's a little bit more. Yes. Every single stanza will stand alone as a poem if you do it really, really well. Anyway, I've now written, having been a poet now for at least 2 weeks, I've written 3 of them, and this is the very first one I ever wrote. It's called A Pox on You, Marlene. A pox on you. You caused me to write a pantoum. That cursed poetic form I abhor. It's your fault I took to this dope. Now I can't let them alone. I'm addicted. That cursed poetic form I so abhor. Pantoums now torture my brain with Cuisinart energy. Now I can't get them out, leave them alone. I'm addicted. And where the hell does line 3 go? Pantoums now torture my brain with Cuisinart energy. It's your fault I took to this dope. And where the hell does line 3 go? A pox on you, Marlene. You caused me to write a pantoum. Thank you. This next poem is what's known as, I would say, free verse. And we'll just leap right into it. It's entitled Apron Strings, and it's based on a true story that my dad told me. Apron strings. Warm. The day was dry, dusty. Chores done. Cows milked. Chicken's roost was eggless, pigs slopped. Noontime sun hung like a wilting dandelion, scorching all but those sturdy weeds. He swung the screen door wide, stepped into the heat, the barefoot boy, delighted when toes touched down onto the big warm earth where sweet idle freedom soared up from soul to soul. Mother yelled from the kitchen, "Billy, you get back here," demanding. "Billy, this very minute." He slowed, hearing the screen door squeak on its hinge, flap in a breeze that carried the scent of new-mown hay, fresh cow patties, alfalfa, and freedom. "Right now, Billy, do you hear?" If not now, then when, wondered he. The screen door slammed emphatically. Without pause, he walked, the barefoot boy, making his way through the great swath left by the cut of the apron strings. Thank you so much. We were kind of hoping that these poetry salons might be a little respite from everything that goes on outside that door, so I hope that you find this enjoyable this evening. This next poem is, this is known as a prose poem. It sort of looks like a little short story on paper. And this one is called, By Any Name, How Sweet is Joy. By any name, how sweet is joy. Too young to know she sought joy, too young to know it is carried on the back of spring, but not too young to know the thrill of a brand new bicycle. Suddenly, she was Columbus, her ocean a network of city streets, destination unknown, but she with the knowledge that if she just kept on, she'd reach the end of the world. Too naive to worry whether she'd fall off. And so she cycled on and on. No lack of worldly experience prevented her the sensation of ecstasy as she pedaled through a park of new-grown flower beds, fresh-mown grass, old-growth oaks, her wheels splashing through puddles of dappled sunlight strewn with cherry blossoms. She marveled at the feel of wind in her hair, the strength of her legs tirelessly moving her onward, the sturdiness of arms attached to capable hands as she piloted herself. She piloted herself through avenues and alleyways, over bridges and boulevards. The smell of the world held a startling surprise, for she captured the scent of the ocean's brine long before reaching land's end. This, then, was a joy which she knew only by the name of Schwinn. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Gee, Tim, do I have time for one more? Okay, I'm going to give you another pantoum. Now, this is the second pantoum I've ever written in my life. And not to say that they're getting any better than the first, but again, you're going to hear a lot of repetitious lines, and here we go. The name of this pantoum is called This Woman's Pantoum. Oh, how clever is that? Okay, This Woman's Pantoum. Am I a woman the girl set out to be? That tomboy girl in button-down fly Levi's? The girl riding bareback, beating boys at basketball? Was she ever a girl setting out to be a woman? That tomboy girl in button-down fly Levi's, shushing slopes, sailing boats, herding sheep, milking goats. Was she ever a girl setting out to be a woman? When came the day, a boy said she was pretty. Shushing slopes, sailing boats, herding sheep, milking goats, and about to step out of her sweatshirt and Levi's. When came the day, a boy said she was pretty. And she learned to dance, to preen and prance, to feign a swoon. About to step out of her sweatshirt and Levi's, the girl riding bareback, besting boys at basketball. And she learned to dance, to preen and prance, and feign a swoon. Am I the woman the girl set out to be? Thank you all very, very much.
Now I'd like to introduce a gentleman I've known for about 30 years. His name's Hugh Shacklett.
Yay.
A man of many talents. He was born in Northern California in 1945 at the end of World War II. Childhood was consumed with hiking, fishing the hills around Sonoma. Other activities included reading on every topic imaginable, and he was a huge fan of science fiction, which formed a foundation for his later songwriting and poetry. Voracious reading. After graduating from Sonoma Valley High School and the stint at Santa Rosa JC, he became consumed with songwriting and performing. Sympathetic teachers encouraged Hugh to write, and as a consequence, he spent the next 50 years doing exactly that. Isn't that something? We have long-term, half-a-century writers. People have followed this path. How many of us made our living out of it? not that many. But we still go to work and attack it, and just like it was. It just amazes me how this pops up all over the county. He's recorded 4 albums, the most recently called Given Enough Time, which was released in February of 2020. His songs have been recorded 10 different artists: Kate Wolf, Dave Hamilton, Jeff Falconer, Poor Man's Whiskey, performed with Jesse Fuller, Sonny Terry, Brownie McGee, Dan Hicks, Kate Wolf, Utah Phillips, Steve Goodman. When I saw his work, when I heard that album, those lyrics were poetry. I think that a lot of time, not a lot of times, but there are certain times where the music and poetry cross each other, they fertilize each other, and we have this one beautiful thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Shacklett.
The volume that Tim put together is the lyrics. I reworked the lyrics a little bit so they read more like a poem rather than a song lyric, but they're essentially the same. I brought a couple albums and a couple of these. If anybody's interested, you don't have to. I'm going to start you off with some short pieces. The first one is called I Am Become a Poet, much to my surprise. I am become a poet. Words come in random configurations and tenses, which I am obliged to curtail and render sensible. It is hard work and pays little. I could consume vowels and consonants, but the cost is beyond my means. Thank you. A small political swipe entitled The Former President. The former President Trump was shot in the ear today. The world is aghast. However, the hummingbirds in my garden appear not to be concerned. Thank you, you're very kind. This is called The Evolution of a Fall Haiku. And it sort of maps out my creative process. It sort of limps along like a stray dog that hasn't eaten anything. Evolution of a fall haiku. My pen is empty, but my mind is still full. How shall I sleep? My pen is empty, but my mind is still quite full. However shall I sleep? A little dramatic, I thought. My pen is quite empty. However, my mind remains full. How then shall I sleep? You can see the difficulty. My pen is quite empty. Nevertheless, my mind is full. How then shall I sleep? Last. My pen is empty, but my mind is full. How shall I sleep? I won't bore you with the amount of time it took to compile that. This is a rap that I wrote. I like that. A rap that I wrote. It concerns Albert Einstein. I'm fairly confident that no one has ever written a rap song about Albert Einstein. I could be wrong. I have the wrong pair of glasses on. No wonder I can't read this stuff. Oh, let me give you a tip. When you get old like me, put your stuff in brightly colored things. Black is not your friend. Get something like that, then you'll be able to find it. That's free. You can have that. Well, that's better. Albert E. About a century ago in Germany, a kid was born named Albert E. He was a math guy, loved the Principia, playing on the fiddle, Ave Maria. Albert E., the smartest cat in Germany. He put the E in MC squared. He said, where do you put it? He said, you put it right there. When he was a kid, he went to the Institute, took walks in the woods while squaring roots. He was doing calculus and chasing ladies, Albert E., the original Slim Shady. As he grew older, he began to see a relationship between mass and gravity. The world said, how can this be? He said, trust me, baby, I'm Albert E. Come on. E for Einstein, that is. Albert E., the smartest cat in Germany. He put the E in MC squared. Where do you put it? He said, you put it right there. Albert's equation was proven to be the biggest deal in history. Then Albert says, listen to me, let me tell you all about relativity. First, you got to start with gravity. That's a mutual attraction between you and me. Then you throw in a little space and time, mix it all up, you got the perfect crime. Albert E., the smartest cat in Germany. He put the E in MC squared. He said, where do you put it? He said, you put it right there. That's where you put it. Last verse. Albert E. got the answer, didn't break a sweat. He says, the faster you go, the younger you get. You can get to tomorrow before you even leave. That's as fast as you can go, I do believe. How am I doing? You're my timer, okay? But I'll keep going. Okay.
I mean, I gotta pull you off the stage.
Yeah, probably. It's going to take 2 or 3 people, though, you know. I'm married to that sweet girl over there. Been married to her for 44 years. Long, I occasionally write poems for her, and this is one of them. How vast the universe! I'm at my desk and wonder, is it possible that in infinite space such as you exists? Love is infinite. It spans the galaxies and leaps ever forward, ever outward, transforming space and time. Chance is infinite as well. The ever-changing possibility that we should meet again beggars the imagination. O thou gods and goddesses, grant a small moment of grace, reveal to us that which we may become. Oh, this is a short one. It's called Forgiveness. We are not endowed with limitless understanding. All we can do is forgive ourselves. When we can do that, we can forgive others. Another short one. Gravity. I got a degree in physics, in case you wonder why these topics keep coming up. Well, it's up and it's down. Sometimes the water runs straight down the drain, just like in rain. We all get the same because we all deserve a drink. It's not as hard as you think because it's just gravity. Now this is a real poem I wrote for Christine. My touch is lighter now. Gone the days of grasping, seeking the inner workings of emotion. Truth is so powerful, I cower when confronted. Much easier to serve my beloved, she who compels my being to be still. Thank you. Last one. This is a good one. Christine said, don't read this one. It's called I'm Praying. I don't pray. I'm not sure why. My wife loves me and I love her. Our relationship is sound. My children and grandchildren love me and I love them. I was deathly ill with cancer but recovered. got enough money and a good house, the car runs. I suppose I could pray for world peace. But that's not really up to me or God. I think that's up to the world. We could do better if we wanted. Postscript. I suppose I'm not convinced that God or whoever has the time, if he or whatever set the universe in motion, then it seems to me granting prayers is rigging the game. Is fiddling around with eternity. That's never a good idea. Thank you.
You will be back.
Okay.
Okay, I'm very happy to introduce my next guest, Robin Gabbert. There's a lot going on with this person.
Sorry.
The winner of the 2025 Fran Claggett Holland Award. Her poem Invisible was the finalist in the 2024 San Francisco Writers Conference contest for poetry. She was long listed for the Frontier Poetry, Not in Love. Her chapbook of ekphrastic poetry and art, The Clandestine Life of Paintings in Poems, was published in 2022. Her new book of poetry, sometime this fall, Somehow I Haven't Drowned, Blue Light Press in San Francisco. She was very much involved in the fires at Fountain Grove. There was chaos with insurance companies, with everybody knows about this. She went in to that, organized a huge community of insurance rebates, all the above, and came out on top and saved a lot of people a lot of heartbreak. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Gabbert.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Timothy. All righty, boy, I'm telling you, Hugh Shacklett is a hard act to follow. That was fantastic, Hugh, and Karen as well. And I'm going to start by reading you a few poems from my collection, The Clandestine Life of Paintings and Poems. And we have some visual aids for you. Karen over here, and I'm hoping you can see this poster, has some of the pictures from the book, because this is a book of ekphrastic poetry, which is poetry written to art. And so she's going to point to the images that I'm reading to, so that you can see the art. And I think you can enjoy the poems even if you can't see it, but I hope you can see it.
We're going to bring it right up front.
Okay, perfect. The first poem is called Observing the Night Sky, and it's after Jim McDonald's painting Cosmos. You got it, Karen? No, it's the night sky. It looks like this.
There it is. Yay.
I'm a little challenged here. Yeah.
Observing the night sky after Cosmos. Oh, sorry. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Are you a comet shooting across the sky, so black and lonely? Or are you just a daisy, picked to your core, then launched into the abyss by those final words, "She loves me not"? These are all pretty short, except for a couple. The next poem is called Yellow Moon. This is after a painting by Marion Stern, a watercolor. The glowing saffron globe pulls itself into the night sky and seems to float in the wetland marsh, reflecting, observing its gleaming face. In the salty water, as if to say, see, I am not made of green cheese. Behold me with wonder. I light the sky. I light the land. Marsh grasses cower before me. I pull the tides like stretching rubber bands, leaving crabs to flounder and unwary boats askew. But the seagrasses and marsh creatures know that as the braggart rises, his reflection will shrink along with his delusions of grandeur. This next poem is called Marrakesh Burrow. It's after a photograph I took in Marrakesh in Morocco a few years ago, and it hangs in my kitchen. Marrakesh Burrow. White-nosed donkey, hooves like saddle shoes. He hauls baggage on blankets over cobblestones, lives his life as a courier, wonders if he'll ever get to dance. The next poem is called Adelita Dreams, based on a painting by Jose Martinez. Young girl, draped with a belt of bullets, also embraced by a strand of pearls, perhaps from a loving father. Close your eyes and think of simpler days when your problem was boys pulling your long chocolate-colored braids or stealing your sombrero. Think of your dreams just starting to reflect in heavy eyelids. They rumble deep in soul and stomach, making you want to smile, lick your lips. The stars sprinkle the sky like sugar. If only you could be stirred into the dark coffee night and disappear. This next poem is based on another watercolor by my friend Marion Stern. It sort of looks like Ophelia from Hamlet, if you can see the woman floating, in the water. I call this one Reconsidering Sorrow, or At the Funeral Home. No expression on her vermilion lips, body wan, but her unmoving figure seems at peace, as we hope, as we wish for loved ones lost. The living stay tangled in nets of grief, in wisps and whispers of, why didn't I? I should have. But reflecting on her dancing eyes, her laugh, tails and teases, how the wind played in her onyx hair, a smear of maple syrup on a crooked smile, her poems, the fog clears. Ghostly sisters hover, not to haunt or to hinder. She wants to hold us, wrap us in her fluffy skirt, wipe away sad tears with puffs of cloud. And this is my final poem for this set, and then I'm going to move on in the next sets to some more recent poems, not ekphrastic, but these are all ekphrastic. And this is a longer poem to Modigliani's portrait of a lady called Amesa, whom I call the woman with the wrist tattoo. You may know he's known for these amazing portraits. So the woman with the wrist tattoo. The woman across the room seems upset. Trying not to look at anyone, she focuses on the door. Eyes, two shining coals rimmed with sorrow. She lights a cigarette, but lets the fire burn down until the ash is almost at her hand. Her lipstick is slightly smeared on pillowed lips. Swallowing, she pulls herself upright, assumes a stern face, then greets the man who's just entered. "Hello, Claude." She puts out the cigarette. "Don't look so surprised." This is Claude's favorite club, not a place where she's expected. "Do you think I don't know that you're not here when you tell me you're going for a cigar and brandy with Maurice? Do you think I don't smell the stink of attar and ashes from your dalliance with the Vincental Char girl? Well, I've had enough. I used your long absence to get this reminder of you." She extends her arm. "The snake who slithered up my sleeve and into my heart. The serpent who stole my fortune and dignity. When people ask about the tattoo at my wrist, I'll just tell them, oh, that's Claude, a snake I once knew. But really, it's just a reminder that if you ever again try to take my hand, I shall pull it back to avoid the sting." Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's take a short break. Let's have a beverage, relax a little bit. Come on back 10, 15 minutes. Do another round of this. How's that sound? Okay, I'm going to start out the second half of the show. I wanted to introduce this a little bit. This book, Baseball In and Out of Time, comes from Senior Baseball League. We have Sonoma County has a very accomplished senior baseball league that goes 30 and over, 40 and over, 50 and over, 60 and over, 65, and now we have a 72 and over. They keep expanding because we don't want to stop playing. So, since spring has come and gone, I want to look back at spring because spring is the time that baseball comes about, ends in fall, but the inspiration carries us through. So, but spring, coming out of winter, sitting around is a little challenging to get out there, and so this is a poem about that. It's called Baseball Winds of Spring. Wind, W-I-N-D, of spring. The foul ball blows back, landing inside the baseline fair, like that Napa pop-up in the wind one afternoon. Wind, the third presence. On the field, it's air, earth, and fire of players that make the game. Water keeps us alive. Baseball in the spring wind is an Alaskan freeze breeze, the morning of the first game. Players showing up, swinging heavier bats with early, dense, dark, new growth rings. Autumn carries a heavy horse of summer wind on its back, but spring serves winter's ice cubes, whistling winds, playing tunes with flutes stuck to players' stiff and frozen bones. Dust Tornadoes swirl to stir the Sunday morning residents of home plate. Twisters blind the catcher. Blue, the umpire. Even hitters forage their eyelids for sand pebbles. The bat's swing rushes turbulent air, stirring the one rare moment of stillness. When the blood warms the batter from running the bases, the wind folds and confounds just the same. Follow the ocean wind, the smells of gull's breath as gales bluster across the outfield. Left fielder waltzes under transparent wings. He sees it, and his feet take sideways steps. He crashed into the fence that morning. We held our breath. One late spring day, out of place to play, the ball sailed past the foul line. It was abandoned upon impact. They were not in need of a teammate nor a handrail to brace their stride across the grass, back under the shivering trees, lining the outfield fence. A left fielder stood once again in less than a few seconds. It took for the jumble of darting blackbirds to spiral from center field into the hollows of the grandstands. It was next pitch. Chase the blackbirds, squeaking winds from the hollows of the grandstands over the right center field wall. The wind blowing out sent the ball over the fence. D. Cordova, manager, called it the jet stream. He hit the ball in the jet stream. Out it went, he said. Along with family and friends, shooting the breeze behind home plate, baseball wind drapes and embraces the occasional sour brew. Amidst the crackling of collective cheer, breeze, breeze, are you listening, fairest breeze? Wake up and escape on wild Appaloosa's thundering past. Thank you. I'd like to bring Karen Fitzgerald back. Nebraska.
I think I got it. I think I got it. I'm going to open this set with a piece of acrostic poetry, and to this picture here by Lori Lovelady, which is called Yesterday. It's a beautiful painting. I really love this painting. And it has, it's a reflection in a window. You'll see an older couple driving by in their electric scooter. It's a Moore scooter, M-O-H-R, and they're catching their reflection, their youthful selves. Oh, the camera. Their youthful selves as they drive by. Again, Lori Lovelady, she has a website, it's a beautiful picture, and this appears in the book. Oh, Robin, I think, the book called Vision and Verse, which is a collection of, photography and artwork by locals, and includes verse by all the locals in Sonoma County and elsewhere, and it was put out by the California Writers Association. So you can read more such things in a book like this. Okay. I call this Short Ode to a Long Past. It was a great ride, my love, back then. But I'm not nostalgic for that toe-clutched Harley and a pretty girl who wraps her arms around me. I've no desire for the carefree days of decades ago, us wrapped in the denim of our hopes and dreams. Me with the sardonic grin, you with the look of contented love. I've no ache for our youthful energy, once spent on civil rights, peace, justice, how we pitted our hard-bodied strength into the hard day's night of protests and sit-ins. We did good, my love. It was a good start. Not for nothing, despite those who navigate us forward through the rear view mirror. And our lovemaking was epic back then. But oh, how I love how we've aged into our lovemaking. I'm not nostalgic for yesterday. If ever I loved you more than then, it is now. It has always been now, my love for you. No rear view mirrors on this new ride. Maybe not another Woodstock for us, but maybe one more Burning Man in our future. I wonder how much more time we have left. Did you pack the charger? Though our winter wanes, there will be another spring. We go with the flow. Thank you, thank you. I forgot to mention that that's what's known as a high button. These are all kind of different poetic forms that are relatively new to me. And on the page, it looks like a regular little story with a little haiku at the very end. That's a high button. Okay, this next might be, you might resonate with this if you're a writer. This is called the Writer's Morning Routine. This would be free verse. There you are, rutted into your morning ritual, rising at 3 a.m., stumbling sleepy-eyed to the bathroom, bringing relief to a grateful bladder. And now your gait, more steady than a stumble, rushing you to the kitchen where you watch the slow drip of water filtering through coffee grounds. Is that a new plot twist that has you staring into space? Or are you silently dialoguing with the muse who abandoned you midway through your new novel? I watch you shuffle to your office to confront the work in process cemented in a writer's block, weighted down by self-doubting artist who checks her email and plays solitaire. With sudden eventuality, I watch your fingers fly across the keyboard, your mind abuzz, fueled by the caffeine, moving through your long body to limber fingers to laptop. And there you go, frenzied by the muse, accompanying you through the task of chiseling away at the block, oblivious to the noise of the garbage trucks right outside your window. Hours pass. The sun rises through half-drawn Venetian blinds. I watch you hunker down over the results of your morning effort. Reading, lining out, writing in, editing, erasing, and finally, you wad it up and toss it. Perfect air shot into the wastebasket. And now you scurry out of the software into the corporate ware, rushing to your rent-paying day job, knowing you will begin again tomorrow. Thank you. That's for all you writers out there who might relate. Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Hugh Shacklett.
You know, I've often wondered, I used to work with 14,000 people. And one of the joys of doing that, the downside was it took a half an hour to leave the building. The upside was you got to hear a new joke every single day. And the thing I always wondered is, where do those jokes come from? I mean, because I know a lot of people, I've been in the business a long time, they're not making up jokes. Who's making up these jokes? Well, thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. It's a professional courtesy, I know. You see that Alan Sellis is a quite famous musician. Huh? Yeah. band once that was a bunch of fun. Here we go. This is a poem I put together for Sarah and Tim. I don't know why exactly, but when I got done with it, I said, well, this is for Sarah and Tim. It goes like this. The band played on. Don't you do that again. We all thought we would live forever. Music will do that to you. But things got going poorly. It was all downhill from there. Now I feel like I've got a handful of hurricanes. The road to bliss has many twists and turns, don't it? This is another poem for my beautiful wife. When truth is everywhere denied, we stand unbowed. True to our cause, crying for our children, for the future, lost and long past. What remains leans, a monument to our time. Peace, dear peace, is nowhere to be found. When the sun is eclipsed and stars hide, take heart and think of this, that in this wasted place, you are loved by me. Thank you. Jack London grew up in my neighborhood, or I grew up in Jack's neighborhood anyway. He rubbed off a lot. I read a lot of his stuff. There's this thing floating around called the Credo that was supposedly written by Jack. Maybe, I don't know. But it starts off, I'd rather be a meteor. So I wrote this, well, this is actually a song, but the structure is poetic. Jack London, I'd rather be a meteor, that's what London said, tearing through the atmosphere all purple, gold, and red, to terrify the lesser gods and shock those on the ground. But my gifts are slight, so rest this night, heaven won't fall down. London lived his life, you know. His were the only rules. He suffered heat, he suffered cold. He did not suffer fools. He built his dream at Beauty Ranch, and fire burned all about. But the fire that burned in London never did burn out. I only try to simply speak, to say what's on my mind, to talk of men and women loved, both here and far behind, of causes just and justice wanting, still and bronze and blind. I wish I were like London. I wish I valued time. That's in the time book there back here. They're on sale tonight.
Could you read the title track?
I'm sorry?
Given enough time.
Given enough time is the title of the book and the CD. There's some good stuff in there, really. Let's do another one from here. This is the poem I wrote while walking along a beautiful hillside down by Ronan Park. There's a little park up on the hill. And for some reason, I started thinking of old blues singers, Leadbelly in particular. So this is, I need a pardon. I need the grace of God. I need the government to call the warden and tell the guard. Let that man go free. He's done his time. No more breaking rocks on the Mason-Dixon line. I was a good boy. I was a fine young man. Church walking on Sunday, got the gospel in my hand. I don't know what happened. Could be the devil. Yes, it could be. Could be the circumstance got the best of me. I'm crying mercy. Please deliver me. How did I end up in this place? I ain't like what I used to be. I miss my good gal. I miss her all the time. I miss that red lipstick and that sweet, sweet wine. We got time for one more? Okay. Oh. I really wanted to do this tonight. Short? Short?
Story.
Long. You want short?
No, never mind.
Okay.
It's all about it tomorrow.
This is I don't know what this is. It's called The Singer of Songs. There once lived a very simple man who loved music. He was indiscriminate and totally without bias. He loved all music from A to Z, and he proposed to learn it, all of it. Every line, note, melody of every composed piece of music since memory began. You might think this task would be beyond the scope of human endeavor, but you would be wrong. Several people have undertaken it, most notably an Englishman named Fowler, but he was unsuccessful due to a series of injuries sustained while collecting a fragment of an ancient Indian flute melody. There has, in fact, been fairly limited quantity of music composed and enjoyed by our species. Of course, there's been an explosion of music in this century, much of it lamentable. But nevertheless, carried in the memory of the folk. Our band began locally. He started with folk songs and popular hymns, branched out to more popular forms of imported styles, and began to work on the classics. His grasp of texture, tune, timbre, and time was complete, his memory prodigious. He was a savant of source, and once that he had heard or seen a score, there it was in that incredible file system of memory, ready for instant recall and regurgitation. Here's the rub. He laid there, his task complete, but as he closed his eyes, perhaps for the last time, a tiny bit of a simple melody began to drift through his mind. One he had never heard before, and there he could see it. It wound through his mind, insinuated itself into his memory, and began to blossom and grow. Now a counterpoint appeared. The harmonies exploded and time changed. It reverted back to its simple self, then grew, flowered, receded, and came back again, always advancing. He now knew his task was not complete and could never be. Then he smiled and began again. Thank you.
She's a retired attorney. Lived in Anchorage, Alaska for 25 years. She has a book, Diary of a Mad Poet. That was the fire experience, the Tubbs fire. The book she has now, Phrastic Poetry, The Clandestine Life, Paintings, and a new one coming out in late fall. Ladies and gentlemen, Robin Gabbert.
Alrighty, and I do have some of my books in the back. The Clandestine Life of Paintings and Poems is $16 on Amazon, but I'm selling them for $10 tonight. Anyone who would like them, my older book, The Diary of a Mad Poet, I'm selling for $5. So please feel free to let me know if you'd like a copy. These are some of my newer poems. This is called Kisses. 15, the year I learned what it really was to kiss. Oh, I had kissed before, made out in cars, on couches, tried on the experience with boys going through the same kissing motions. Lips together or mouths wide open with flopping tongues, like eels on an exploratory mission. But at 15, a boy with freckles and a mischievous smile touched me with his tentative, unhurried, soft-seeking lips
and a gentle tongue. The universe drifted in a slow-moving arc around us. Eyes closed, I could feel only the pinprick of stars down my spine. Could not see them spinning in the night around us. I was spun into raw silk, immersed into a warm cocoon, a tingle with his touch as we stood beside my porch light each night, hoping it would not be the last time that a kiss could make my bones light up like luminarias. This next poem is called Bloodlines, and it's written after a format perfected by a poet called Betsy Scholl in her poem Genealogy. Bloodlines. One parent was a dark suit, the other an emerald sheath. One was Coke bottle lenses, the other Waterford crystal. Till late at night, the girl would see the light on in the den. On the other side of the house, hear only sighs. One parent was a red T-bird convertible, the other a pixie haircut, before Mia made it fashionable. The tattoo on the girl's back was a whirlpool. One parent was a mirage, the other too close to see without distortion. One a tangled enigma, the other good housekeeping guaranteed. One of her parents she read voraciously, the other she only skimmed. One was a hunter, the other a nester. In the revolving door of her becoming, one kept raising the bar, the other tightening the safety net. Thus her troubled youth, unexpected early exodus, still trying to be the best of both, she kept skinning her knees, a girl swimming upstream, looking for purchase. This poem is called Letter to Someone Long Left Behind. I'm sure you all can relate. I have scarcely thought of you these last few years since I moved from Alaska, where we met all those decades ago. I rarely saw you even during my last years living there, and I admit I had moved on, married, had children, a dog. I always wondered why you didn't. You lived with different women, but never made it official, never became the dad you could have been. Did you ever, like me, wonder how stars get crossed and what one must do to untangle them? Are they like gnarled jump ropes or spider webs that need unweaving? Do you too often focus on those few moments when a pivot was possible, when one of us might not have been afraid to offend the status quo, not afraid to speak our minds, our hearts? This poem is called Now You See Him, Now You Don't. There was an old lover in my mirror when I brushed my teeth today. He stepped out of the shower, still looking youthful, as in his 40s. He gave me a swat of his towel and a sweet sloppy kiss. When I opened my eyes post-kiss, he was gone. I blinked again, wondered if I'd spit him down the drain with the toothpaste, or he'd snuck out to go to work, walk the dog. I wanted to climb back into bed, close my eyes, see if it was a dream. If it was a dream, continue to the place I hoped it would go, down byways of biceps, over to a hairy chest, then slick of sweat portending moisture to come later, lower. I tried to shake myself back into today, not wanting to return. I closed my eyes, sighed, wondered what tomorrow's toothbrushing would bring. All right, this next poem is called Between Wolves and Stars. I cannot duplicate the blaze of bright eyes, erupting low rumble of laughter. I strive to recreate you, but cannot retrieve what the ether has seized. Grasping at ghosts, sorrow engulfs me. Though I try to capture in a plaid wool blanket the feeling of arms lost, I am left with only a pillow, my own pale reflection, the goose flesh of the glum and lonely. Maybe I'll join the wolves in the woods, howl at the waning moon. I know you can't return my call, but it may help to pretend my wolf sisters and I are in harmony. Pretend I have friends whose howls are also a lament for your loss. Then I would not be alone. Then perhaps you'll know that I sing to the stars because I miss the gray-green sparkle of your eyes. And this may be the last poem or next to last, depending on my time. But this is called The Palm Reader. The Palm Reader. Wondered if someone had scribbled on the young woman's hand with an ice pick. She had never seen lines so random, so misconfigured. She did not know how to tell the girl that her lifeline, while long, had an odd fork at the end portending a second life, but that the first longer line was bisected with so many scrapes and gouges, unusual gashes and grooves, that she might not survive to walk the second path. In the end, the palm reader told her client that before she was born, her hand had been incised by several shooting stars sent to score to trace potential prophets and those whose bodies were the most holy. Thank you. Okay, Tim's saying I can do one more. This is kind of a whimsical poem. It was originally ekphrastic, but it was done to a piece of sculpture, and I hope you can just go with the flow, so to speak. It's called Even Sea Serpents. You wash over me like falling water, cleansing, massaging, cooling me when I run hot, warming me when I am cold or lonely. You smooth my scales, nip away at the rough edges. My claws still need trimming, but I've used them for so long, my protection. Their surrender comes less easily. They've caused a few scars in return for wounds rendered, but only for the deep ones and never just for the insults. But still, I long for a sure and kind hand, an occasional back rub. Not many know sea serpents like that.
Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Everybody up. Let's get a group shot. It's really evening to see you. I want to thank you all for coming and joining us at the